It always comes to this. More nice shit. Guys, back again doing another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I'd showed off my finger dotting and wrist slash palm area dotting. We extended it quite a bit. I'll probably slowly kind of bring it in farther. Calluses permitting, I would like to get kind of to around here and sort of all around the moon. Have that all dotted in, and most of my fingers as well. But I'm taking this kind of thing slow, not because it's hurting so much or anything like that, but my hands are, they're pretty banged up. Also, I'm not really in any hurry with this. It can be picked away at, especially nice that because I work out so often, it was only maybe a day or two. I think I was back to some of my workouts by the second day, so I don't really want to completely disable myself while this is healing. And if you do a lot on your palms, then you can end up, debilitated to some degree for a little while. Same with any finger tattoos. Your fingers will swell up quite a bit. My fingers swelled up a little bit from even just this much. I couldn't fully bend my fingers for the first day. So they do swell quite a bit, and so doing it bit by bit is the approach I'm going for here. Also, when we get into these areas, there's just so much callus there from 20 years of cooking and then weightlifting and things like this. Anyone who works with their hands for a living is going to have worse palms than anyone who doesn't. So your palm tattoo mileage will vary based on the state of your hands. I do have another session for the same thing on this side. I may get Terry to bring it a little farther on this one just because of how easy all of the dots were to heal. The wrist here is already peeled, but a lot of these dots haven't peeled, and they are blowing out inside, which is exactly what we wanted. We kind of want this kind of blobbing texture that we have here. This was all done with dots, but it looks as if it was mag shaded. That's because all of the dots blew out and spread, and then that's kind of the idea behind getting a palm tattoo to stay. So I do think that the dots are going to do pretty well, but obviously some of them over here are going to fade off or fall out, as people say. I don't expect it to be perfect on one go, but I expect it'll be decent, and that's also why we didn't do a full dot. Like, we didn't try and get like that kind of an effect with it. So the desired result is for it to appear a little bit broken up, and that is intentional rather than it being that way because it didn't work. I think that having a broken finger design is probably a smarter idea than solid black overall anyway, and it's a hell of an endeavor to get solid black fingers that are a little patchy. I don't think I've ever seen a pair of fingers that are perfect. I do have a friend that has almost perfect solid black fingers, but he's done his many times. Mine have been done 4 times, and they're not perfect. They're not the worst I've seen by any means, but they are tough to get, especially if you're someone who's worked with your hands for a living. Your hand skin is just not going to be the same as say a young 18-year-old that's never worked or something like that. So, and there's also just some people just have drier skin in general on their hands than others. Some people have really, really soft hands. Like, my wife doesn't have hand tattoos, but she's a prime candidate for them because she actually has very, very soft skin and will take the color or black very, very easily. So I always think it's she wants her palms tattooed, but not her hands tattooed, ironically. But her palms are in better shape than mine too, so it would be less labor there as well. So I also, while speaking of my wife, I have another session coming up with her this week. Finally, we're going to do the second pass on the candy cane. We're going to do that here in 2 days' time, and then the appointment with Terry on this hand is for the following day. So 3 sessions this week, but fairly short sessions, so still not doing anything too crazy, but just more frequent. I always tell people this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's better to do smaller bites than it is to do these big hero sessions and try and get everything done all at once. The work heals worse, and you also have a worse memory of the heal, and I think that creates a weird anxiety around tattooing. I've talked about this before, but a lot of people have these bad memories of getting things done when they push themselves too far, or they won't heal as well when they do that, or this thing or that thing happens. And I just think that we should normalize doing smaller, more frequent sessions in general. With that said, I had one more thing on this. My hands, being that they are fairly dry, I don't expect these dots to be fully peeled. Even within this week, I expect that there will be, especially and over here on this ridge, that hasn't peeled either. But this here has peeled, and that just goes to show you the difference between palm skin and normal skin. We'll say that peeled right away in normal time. I don't expect this to be peeled for at least another week. So, and the further you proceed into the palm, the more that is the case. So if you got a slow healing palm tattoo, just know that's entirely normal. So, normally I do heal incredibly quickly, and that will lead nicely into the next point. Obviously, you'll have seen I had another session here with Rick where we came and added all this orange, and there's actually blue and purple and pink and yellow, all kinds of highlights in there. But like with anything Rick does, it is a cornucopia of colors, and it's not like one big flat color that you'll see right away like we have in the rose sleeve, for example. So I do find, especially if you're not wanting to do a million sessions, the bigger swaths of color where it's just one predominant color, even if you have multiple versions of that color, they do register to the eye in general clearer and easier. And then when you're going over black, you need that clarity even more to bring the point home, I think. Whereas in this sleeve, there's way more colors in general in here, like way more. There's probably over 100 colors in this arm by now, but it shows more or less overall tonally sort of blue and purple, and that's where, for me, I really want to bust certain things out, and I think Rick is coming along to that too. I think his mind is started getting to where I've been for a while with this. I think it's hard when you're looking at something for a really long time. You start to go blind to it. I see this in a lot of work, and not just in tattooing, but in art in general. It's like when you've been working on something for a while, you almost need to go away from it and kind of look at something else for a while to come back with fresh eyes and make more kind of objective decisions, I think. And while I think everything here is a great base, and this could be the complete sleeve, it really does have the look, especially now with this elbow, which I'll talk about in a minute here. It does look like a completely finished sleeve, and it has for some time. Especially now, I think we got this elbow under control. But for me, I want it to be more dynamic, and I think Rick was having a harder time understanding my point of view last week. But even just seeing the orange that he did last week, I think that he is clearer on what I'm talking about now, and understanding that I think we need more focal points and less kind of the same that we have, which there are some built-in color highlights. Obviously they can be buffed up, right? All this yellow is so key to breaking up all that blue and black and purple. But I think things like the claws and some of the suction cups still, and like these in here, which we will be working on again next week, I believe. I believe we're going to be continuing down this way to do similar things to what we have up here. Again, the breathing hole up here and some of the stuff in back here, I feel like the teeth, stuff like that can be accented for greater pop, more clarity and more focus. And that's really going to be the remainder of what we're doing here. And who knows how many sessions that is, and I don't really care. I've often said, if you've got two arms, make them as good as you can. And so to me, it's only natural that I think it would be a mistake if we were to walk away from it here, and we could, and a lot of people would, right? This thing, believe it or not, it looks better outside and it looks better in person. As good as it's starting to look on camera, I like it a lot more in person than I ever do when I'm editing these vlogs. I'll catch a look of it when I'm out somewhere, and all the colors just shine so bright in the sunlight. It's a whole different thing. You see every hour that went into this when you're out and about. Sunlight has such a different effect on color tattoos. It's like, if I could make all of these vlogs outside, that's where I would be making them. Which is why I find it so funny that people are like, oh yeah, it'd be different if he wasn't in controlled light. Like, if I could be doing these outside and control the audio and the setup and everything, I would do them all outside, because all of my work looks better outside than it does inside. It all has a darker look inside. When the natural light hits it, you see all the labor that has gone into it. You see every little detail and every little color shines. Sometimes I'll be looking at it and I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even know that color was in there. And you can see a lot of that here, don't get me wrong, but it's more evident outside. So, like I said, I think we're going to be coming down through here next week. There's some stuff here that definitely needs some love. You can see that the clarity ain't there in some spots. Not the way I want it to be. But we are in the end game of this sleeve, and I guess we have been for a minute. There are some things like my hand, obviously, that need more love than others, but refining and tweaking and polishing is kind of the name of the game. I think Rick said he wants to bring some more kind of bright greens up here, things like that, to kind of pop some of that as well, where that's already finished by most metrics. It can still be better, and I think most tattoos could always use a little more if people were willing to do it. Most color tattoos anyway. So with that said, I'll close this out by briefly talking about my elbow. It's mostly peeled now. There is this little chunk in here that you can see is still peeling. My elbows heal almost as slowly as my hands. That's because the skin is dry there, and you know, everywhere else heals a lot faster than that. So it'll be a little while yet before I see exactly what's going on in here, but it does look the best it's looked. And as I mentioned, we would be in there again anyway at some point. Also wanted to mention some of this stuff that Rick worked on last week, some of the orange in there, he went into again this week. That is how fast I heal normally. He didn't like how it went in, and it looked like I'd already been healed for a month there. So it's not like it hurt anymore, and it all took. I'm expecting it to heal incredibly quickly again, but for the people who continue to doubt and proclaim that I don't heal as fast as I say I do, we literally just worked on this within the same week again, and there was no additional pain, and it's not even sensitive to the touch right now. It's like it wasn't even tattooed today, so it's already healing. And I can guarantee you guys that within the next 2 days, when I make the next vlog, that will be healed already. So, but he wasn't happy with how the orange went in that day. He thinks working on my elbow pissed everything off, so he wanted to go at it again today with the oranges and get a stronger result. So that was where we started, and then obviously came through here as well. So, but yeah, I heal incredibly quickly normally. It's just the drier spots that I don't. And still really liking how that dot framing works with the moon there. I'm excited to get that going on this hand as well. I don't think we have quite as far to go with the wrist black. But with that said, I'm probably going to bring the dots up just a little farther because I intend to anyway over here. So, all right, well, this will actually be part 1 of 3 vlogs I make this week. So I'll have lots more to talk to you guys about here again in a few days. And have a great day.